Come with me, I'm headed down the right path. I feel so brave, my head held high and I'm showing class. Dreams ignited, every day I truly give my best. I'm thriving excitedly to be the very best version of myself. I'm so bold and I'm so brilliant. I feel amazing, I feel so resilient. I'm so bold and I'm so brilliant. Feel so amazing, I feel so resilient.
Get to know my special guest, Vanessa Gant, aka the Money Architect. She's a dynamic accountant and tax strategist with nearly 17 years of professional experience in the financial industry. Vanessa Gant, welcome to the Chundria Show. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you are great. Let's talk about it.
It is
Let's dive on in. It is tax season, like you said. Let's talk about you. Tell me about your self-proclaimed title as the Money Architect and why you strive to educate and empower others in the world of finance.
So the Money Architect came about because like so many of us, like myself, weren't taught about money, whether it was business or personal. So when I decided to take that deep dive into my personal finances, it just made it better for my business. So the Money Architect came about where, what she does is she helps people create and design a plan to have healthy finances, have a better relationship with their money. And when it comes to their business, we help them have create a financial foundation, increase their profits, and pay the least amount of money legally for taxes.
God bless you. Now, I read that the Money Architect is a business. It's more of a virtual CFO that designs a plan to build foundations to create a lasting impression on your clients' finances. You also have an accounting firm called Provision Accounting Solutions. Tell me what services you offer and who your ideal clients are.
So over at Provision Accounting Solutions, we service small businesses, but our niche clients are the transportation and logistics industry. And what we provide to them is accounting services, bookkeeping services, CFO services, and tax services for both individuals and businesses.
And in your opinion, in your professional expertise, why is that so pertinent? And I'll preface it and say, because sometimes that's the step we don't hire somebody to do. Sometimes that's the step the small business owners try to maintain themselves, try to keep the books themselves, etc. So just in your own words, why is that so key to have somebody handling your bookkeeping?
It is key. Well, let's talk about first why so many business owners kind of skip over that part and think they can catch up with it later. It's because you're focused on making the money, right? You're focused on making the money, and I focus on saving you some money. So, one of the things that just shun away from that is because sometimes the business owners are a little hesitant to handle their business finances because they aren't truly comfortable with handling their personal finances. So it kind of goes hand in hand. They kind of carry the behavior over. But just understanding that from the moment that you decide that you want to open your business, you really need to consult an accountant.
Okay. And your ideal client, you said, are small business owners. I'm curious why your interest in the trucking business.
So I've spent 17 years on the corporate side of trucking and finance. So it was only natural when I made my exit from corporate to just transition to doing the same thing in what I like to call the civilian world of trucking.
Okay, now it is tax time. It is tax season. I think that's phenomenal. I'll ask you this. What are your surefire tax tips for small business owners so they can be prepared every tax season?
Definitely be organized. Organize your business finances, hire an accountant, stop commingling funds. You should not be mixing business and personal and business. But it is common in the beginning of a business for you to use some of your personal funds to actually fund your business startup. What I would suggest is that you definitely track what personal funds you're using to actually start your business. Also, if you are going to be using personal funds, just deposit that money into your business bank account as an investment, and then, pay for your business expenses from that account. Also, you want to file your taxes on time according to your business structure. I've came across so many people that were partnerships and they didn't realize that their tax filing date was actually March 15th. And then they get these penalties because they filed late and they just didn't know.
Okay, so being mindful of your important dates, being mindful of the way your business is structured, and definitely staying organized. I hear that. Now,
Yes.
for new business owners who are in their first tax season, what's the best way to keep personal and business finances separate if you haven't earned any profits yet? Like you said, sometimes you may, add funds from your personal account into the business account, and that could get kind of cloudy or get kind of challenging. What's the best way? Are there any apps or tools, a planner?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I love QuickBooks, but QuickBooks comes with a subscription fee. So there are a lot of people that are just starting up and they don't want to add that overhead until they start making money. So there are definitely a couple of free apps. They're limited, but they will serve the primary purpose for you of tracking your income and expenses. One is Wave, one is FreshBooks. So you can definitely take a look at both of those free accounting softwares, again, which is Wave and FreshBooks. And QuickBooks is my favorite.
QuickBooks is your favorite. All right.
Yes.
All right. And then, I said the first year for new business owners in their first tax year. And sometimes some business owners haven't made any income. I mean, year 2, 3, 4, and 5, you haven't earned any profits. How do you consult small business owners in their taxes if they continually aren't earning? Do you consult on ways to make money? What do you do?
I do. So what I do want to say that, there are a lot of people that say, hey, I don't need to file taxes for my business because I didn't make any money this year. You still need to file your taxes. Like you have an EIN number, you've registered your business with the state. Everyone is expecting your business to file a return to stay compliant. For the people that are in year 2 and 3, 4, and 5 of their business and you have yet to turn a profit, we're going to sit down and take a deep dive into your numbers and possibly your business plan to determine what is holding you back from actually getting to the point of generating profits in your business.
Okay, I love that. I love that you offer that. I love that. I mean, it's like more of a coaching side and then also the accounting side of it as well. Now, soon you'll be releasing your new book called 10 Financial Mistakes That Put Truck Fleet Owners and Operators Out of Business. Tell me what's in store for your readers.
I mean, what's in store for my readers is if you are new to the business, even if you've been in business for a while, there's definitely something in this book that you have either encountered already or will encounter in your business because it's a part of the process in trucking. There's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs, there's a lot of things that will happen in the industry. So definitely learning some of the things that can forewarn you from not walking into some of the same mistakes that some of the other people have. And if you have encountered some of these mistakes, there's some solutions to help you, redirect them.
Now, I read that this book breaks down the seasons of trucking, financial analysis to help you succeed in your business, and resources to help scale and grow your company. How can these principles be applied to readers no matter what type of business they're in?
So when your business, if you have your financial data, it will help you determine, the seasons of your business. Applying to any business, even other than trucking, because if you're historically looking at your data, let's just say, the fourth quarter for someone who may be in retail or maybe in crafts, that's typically a holiday season. So they're making more money, right? They're making more money in that season. And then around the summertime, there's not a lot of holidays. There's not a lot of special days happening. So your income may be a little slow. So by using the historical data, it will help you budget and plan on how you will deliver, your products and your servicing. And then with trucking, understanding the seasons of trucking will help you understand what seasons is more profitable to the equipment that you currently have in your business.
Oh, I like it. I like it. That's smart. And that's key. And I love that in a sense, you're creating accountability, for small business owners to manage their finances, manage how the income is coming in. And you said inadvertently, you also help business owners to save. So yes, you are the perfect person for any small business owners, especially in the trucking industry, to contact. Well, I want to thank you for being my special guest today, Vanessa. My next guest is an incredible intimacy coach, speaker, and author of the novels Discovering Lita and Something New. Today, Angie shares tips to spice up your love life during the pandemic. Angie D Lee, welcome to the Chundria Show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Of course, of course. What a pleasure. I always just said it's always a pleasure to have a friend, a real life friend, doing amazing things on the show. And so, the pandemic has kept us separated. And so just, the technology has brought us together again today.
Yes.
So it's so good to see you, truly. All right, my dear, we will go ahead on and dive on in on today's topic of discussion. Spicing up your love life during the pandemic. We're still in this thing 2 years later. So, Angie has come on today to give us some amazing tips. So Angie, we'll get started talking to you. Tell me about your life as a wife and mother and how important family is to you.
Oh, just as a wife and a mother, let's just say that it's a consistent journey. It's a lot of evolving, a lot of pivots, but I would not change it for the world. I really, really enjoy being a mom. And I think right now with my kids being the ages that they are, ages 10 and 15, I have a son and a daughter. And it's just really cool to just see them grow, and just morph into who they are and becoming the people that they're just destined to be. And we're here as their parents, my husband and I, to guide them. But at the same time, we're allowing them the space to just explore who they are. And so that's really, really fun to see. And I'm just excited, about what they're going to do, in the world. So I think at this stage in motherhood, I'm really enjoying this age. I'm not in the newborn stage and stuff anymore. I like that they are a lot more independent. They're free thinkers, and they can kind of decide too, what they want to do. And based off the way we've reared them, they're learning how to make decisions on their own. And I remember a coworker of mine years ago told me that healthy birds fly away. And so I think about that with my kids. As much as I love them, and I want them all the time, with me, but at some point they have to fly away. And that's the stage that we're in right now, with them in their development. But it's really beautiful to watch. So that's what I would say about motherhood. And as far as my marriage, I've been married now 16 years. I'm like, I know, I got married when I was 12, people. So I'm just, but yes, it's been 16 years, and it's truly been a journey that I can honestly say at this point in our marriage, every single thing that we've experienced, we've done together, and it's been worth every single minute of it. And I say that wholeheartedly. So yeah, it's something that I just would not take back. I'm really enjoying the experience of being a wife.
Wife and mother extraordinaire. You make it look so easy. You always have.
On the outside, it's still a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes,
Well, as an intimacy coach, I read that you help modern couples rediscover their passion, their pleasure, and their connection in their relationships. Why do you have such an affinity for helping couples reconnect?
Well, that question is kind of twofold, and I'll keep it as short as possible. Obviously, my background has always been in the mental health field ever since like 2003. And so I've worked with primarily children. And I think too, just children and adolescents, teens. And I've seen over the years how intimacy plays a significant role in the development of just a human being. And I've seen it from the beginning stages, even as early as newborns. Because I've worked in like domestic violence, child welfare, school social work, I've really had an opportunity to see how children respond to not receiving intimacy. And a lot of times people think the word intimacy, they automatically go to sex, but that's not specifically what I'm referring to. I'm referring to like closeness, referring to people feeling accepted and loved for who they are. And because I've had so much experience in that, I've also kind of drawn closer to that in adulthood as well, and seeing how that still affects people when they have not yet dealt with some of the intimacy issues that they had as children. And with me being married, and as long as I've been married, I can honestly say I understand all of the stages. I understand all of the highs and the lows and the peaks and the valleys. But at the same time, I know that when people have the tools and they have the skills and they're taught kind of like through coaching what they can do to reignite that intimacy and work through that as a couple, it's a beautiful thing. You know, a lot of times there are marriages and relationships that feel that they can never be resurrected. But a lot of times it's just because they didn't have the tools and the skills. And so I'm very passionate about that. And I'm passionate about it because, like I said, my husband and I, we 16 years. So we truly understand the moments that were not always easy, really tough moments, those really hard conversations and realizations. And so that's something that I definitely want to pour back into other couples, that if you want that, if you desire the pleasure, the passion, the connection, it is possible if you want it and if you're willing to work for it. So that's why I'm definitely passionate about that.
So that's amazing. I mean, as an intimacy coach, who are your ideal clients and how do you serve them? You know, how do you help clients, you know, reconnect? How do you do it?
So basically, my ideal clients are typically committed couples, people in marriages or long-term relationships, heterosexual couples, and that's not any slight on anyone else. That's just the population of people that I typically work with because of my expertise. But a lot of the tools and the skills and the different things that I do with couples can totally be applied really to any relationship, any romantic relationship. But that is my ideal demographic. Typically, it's around the age ranges of like, you know, I would say roughly like around 34 to about 55 is usually like that age range. And the reason why is because in modern society, a lot of people are waiting till later to get married. And so with that, we've kind of grown very comfortable in our ways. So when you try to merge two people together, it can be a little bit of a shock because it's like, I don't get this. Why are we not, you know, getting along? Why are we not passionate about, you know, what we used to be passionate about? Why don't we talk like we used to? Why don't we go out and do creative things anymore? And a lot of that has to do with it's just coming together. Two people truly trying to come together and make it work. And then you try to add the intimacy factor. That doesn't always come as naturally, you know, and so, and I think that it's really important with couples around that age range, because I have found younger couples, when you tend to get married younger, you know, there's like a blank canvas, you know, it's like you go into it with your eyes, you know, just like rose colored glasses, and you're willing to do anything. Whereas as you get a little older, you know, you have your own opinions, your thought processes about things. And sometimes it is really hard to be understanding of the other person and to really state what your desires are. So that's definitely my age range that I work with. And then also too, for families who have children that are, you know, moving out, going to college, and they're becoming empty nesters, it's forcing couples to be like, okay, the kids are out the house, so now we got to look at each other every day. So what we gonna do? So yeah, just working with couples in that phase of their lives and their relationships is definitely a demographic I work with. And so some of the key things that I like to work with people on, couples on, is first and foremost, understanding intimacy within yourself. And so a lot of times people just automatically want relationships to just go because we've been together for this amount of time and they should know how I feel. Come on, you've been with me for like 10 years. How do you not know that I don't like the smell, you know, of that food you're cooking in the kitchen, you know? And it's like, but at the same time, you know, does your partner really know what you desire? Do you know what you desire? You know, and so the biggest thing, first and foremost, is having them kind of take inventory of what they really enjoy. What are the things that make you tick? What are the things that get you upset? And start really identifying that so that you can accurately express that when it's time to do that. So that's the biggest thing. First and foremost, is just making sure that you learn how to become intimate with yourself. And that doesn't always mean self-pleasure. It can mean self-pleasure, but it's just really understanding and knowing yourself and knowing how to communicate that to your partner. So that's the biggest piece of that. And then obviously there are other activities and homework, in a sense, that, you know, I want couples to try and be willing to do. We work on a lot of transparency. Really kind of like taking that mask off. You'd be surprised how many people live with each other day in and day out, and there's still a mask, there's still a wall up. And so we work on breaking down that wall, so to speak, and learning what it's like to be truly open, so that your partner can really come in. So there's so many different strategies and so many approaches, but those are the main things that we focus on.
That's awesome. I hear that you're teaching people to communicate. I hear that you're teaching people to be vulnerable with each other, whether you've been together for eons, you know, or whether this is a new relationship. And you also said something really key that, you know, sometimes we're set in our ways. I am who I am, you are who you are, and then we're coming together. And then sometimes you find couples are trying to figure out how they're going to make it work. So I absolutely can see that. And I see how you add value as well. Now the pandemic has been challenging. I mean, people have dealt with loss and financial ruts, disconnections, and many couples have even called it quits, you know, in the mainstream media and privately in their households. What tips do you have for couples to spice up their love life and focus on reconnecting in a major way?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, again, it goes back to that transparency and honesty. The first thing that couples have to realize, when clearly we were in a situation that we didn't know, no one knew that this was coming. So this was a shock to everyone. And it was really a shock to those who were already dealing with things in their marriages and not in relationships and not, you know, being open about it. And so the pandemic kind of blew the lid off of that, so to speak, because it was already there. It was lying dormant. So first of all, it's just making sure that there's some honest conversations about, okay, we may not necessarily be where we want to be. And now we're in a position where we really have to kind of be together, work together. And for a lot of couples, they may not have had that time together like that since the beginning. Okay, if we're really honest. And even some couples may not have had it like that at the beginning, depending on their schedules and what was going on. So it's really forcing them to kind of, you know, look at each other and ask the question, what do I want? What do I want to experience with you? What's something that we haven't had the chance to do because of time, because of our careers and our kids, and being very intentional. And so I would say, if you want to spice up your relationship, your marriage, you have to be intentional. Nothing just happens. I don't care how much chemistry you've had over the past, or, you know, the passion that you had at the beginning. You have to literally sit down and talk with each other about what you like, what you desire. This is a good time to kind of come up with questions for each other and ask each other. Like, you can make like little note cards, sheets of paper, and just think about like 5 questions that you have like a burning desire, you know, to want to know, but you just never really approached it for whatever reason, because you were like, oh, okay, this is going to cause an argument, or I don't think they're going to be honest with me. Well, this is the time. And believe it or not, when you learn more about your partner, even after all of these years, you'll find that you actually kind of, you know, start feeling a little some way like, oh, you kind of feeling new again, you know, like sometimes it's that newness that can be exciting too, you know. So I would definitely suggest that. Also, I think it's really cool to like maybe even create a scavenger hunt around the house. You come up with little things that they can find, and whatever they find, that's what you're going to do. So if your partner has been really itching for like that new position that we have been talking about, put it on that little card, you know, and hide it somewhere. So when they find it, it's like, yeah, that's what we're doing tonight, you know. And so I would definitely advise cooking together. Maybe cooking a meal together. If you're not the cook, maybe you could be the one that's reading off, you know, the directions to how to cook the meal, or you could be the one setting the ambiance, you know, the music, the candles, the incense, but just do it together. If you're into, you know, lingerie and things like that, fine, you can do that as well. It's so many options. And sometimes it's just sitting and watching a movie together. I know my husband and I really enjoyed that during the time that we were sheltering in place. We were just like, okay, once these kids are in the bed, we're watching movies we haven't watched in a long time. I'm talking like Boys in the Hood, Jason's Lyric, like we just was pulling them out the bag. And so, but that was so fun because it brought us back to a time, you know, in our younger years. So it's so many different things that you can do, but those are just a few that I can think of off the top of my head.
Those are some really, really good tips, especially indoors. It doesn't have to be boring, you know, and it doesn't have to be a separate thing. I like to think that I heard a quote a long time. I've only been married 3.5 years, but I heard a quote that says, marriage is waking up every day and choosing each other over and over again. And that stuck with me. I saw this many years ago, and that quote has always stuck with me. And I'm hearing what you're saying about being intentional. So intentionally choosing that person when you get up every single day, and having those intentions with that person. So I love that. I love the vulnerability. And I heard the willingness to try. Like, it can't just be one person trying it and the other person's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, even with you watching the movies, like, all right, so watch Boys in the Hood. motherhood for the 47th time, I guess, but coming together and wanting to do
Right.
it. I think that's really special. So how do you and your husband continually reaffirm your love through every season?
Well, I would definitely say we are very intentional. When I got this advice, maybe like around, it was about 10 years ago. So yeah, I would say about 10 years ago. So we were married for like roughly 6 years, 5 or 6 years. And I remember someone saying about, scheduling this, scheduling that. And I was just like, it just takes the spontaneity out, like the sexy out of it, And it's funny because the older I get and, having the obligations and the different things that we're responsible for, setting a schedule is not too bad. It's like, because it's like I get this reminder on my phone sometimes. It's like, oh, we doing this tonight, what I mean? And it immediately like sparks something, I know for myself. One thing I do, and like I said, again, everyone is different. But I think an occasional revealing or sexy photo sent via text, is always a good thing. So I always like to add a little something like that. I don't do it all the time because I don't want them to get like bored, what I mean? But like, nothing wrong with throwing that out there every once in a while. Like you'll get something maybe in a meeting or something, like open up your text. Oh, bam. All right. Okay. So that's what we're doing today. Yes. Okay. So that's
I'm going on
that's on your mind, right? And then also, we really enjoy, like, we love comedy shows, and I know with COVID and everything, and not being able to go as many places as before. But what we've done is just transfer that to home. So if we can't get to a comedy club, then we'll watch like a comedy special, on Netflix or whatever is playing on. I would definitely say too, one thing that my husband actually says that he needs a lot of from me, the help, is because I'm more of the talker, the expressive one, like that, So a lot of times I'm like, babe, talk to me. Like, I just want you to talk to me. And he like, cool, what you want to talk about? And I'm like, I want you to come up with something, what I'm saying? He's like, but Angie, I need your help. If you could just set the tone or give me like a subject or something, guide me to it. And that actually used to like bother me because I'm like, why can't you just come up and start talking like I do, but we're two different people, and so that's something too that I had to remember, that this is my personality. This is what comes naturally to me. There are things that come naturally to him. So we have those conversations like, hey, you know what? I got you. I can help you on the conversation tip. Okay. But I need your help with XYZ. So it's always this like, we got to both, be intentional about these things. So definitely we put things in a schedule. We share calendars, on our phones. So if we're doing something, we lock it in. So, because we have a 15-year-old and she's synced to our phone as well with the calendars, and see, she'll be trying to hog up all the time. And I want you to take me here. No, we're not doing that. Me and Daddy got a date, what I'm saying? So, so we're really, really intentional, about that, which makes it fun because it says to us that we're prioritizing each other. So that in itself feels alive and sexy because it's important. I would definitely say, believe it or not, you should take inventory of your relationship, just like you would at a job. Like when you have a review, whether it's every 6 months or every year, what's been working, what I'm saying? And what hasn't been, because believe it or not, if you've been with someone for a long time, you're going to evolve,